This is Ted Ramey, and you're listening to The Morbidly Made, where the fans have control.
It's only been a few hours since I've translated and spoken aloud the first of the demon resurrection passages from the Book of the Dead.
Shh! Listen up. This is my father's voice.
And now I fear that my wife has become host to a Kandarian demon. May God forgive me for what I have unleashed unto this earth. Last night, Henrietta tried to kill me.
No.
It's now October 1st, 4:33 p.m. Henrietta is dead. I could not bring myself to dismember her corpse, but I dragged her down the steps, and I buried her. I buried her in the cellar.
Someone's in my fridge cellar! Someone with a fresh soul! Out of the house! There's something down here! It's a trick! I know it! Move it! Open those chains up! Come to me. Come to sweet Henrietta. Something down here! Please! Help! Help me, please! I'll swallow your soul! Dead by dawn!
Dead by dawn!
Dead by dawn! Dead by dawn!
Dead by dawn!
Dead by dawn! Dead by dawn! Dead by dawn!
The long, lingering shots, the awesome points of view, the times when the camera just swings a full 360 degrees around, and you get the full understanding
This
of
is our Evil Dead 2
presence.
perspective.
It is
As you can
absolutely
see,
amazing direction.
John is still wrapped up in the original Evil Dead. He's so wrapped up in it that he just can't stop talking about it. But
so
we have
good.
to get into the Evil Dead.
No,
2.
Mike, you don't understand how fucking good
John,
this is.
John, I understand, but you need to understand that we're moving on to the reboot of the franchise with Evil Dead 2. We're done
shit.
with Evil Dead 1.
Evil Dead 2.
Yes.
Okay.
We're done with Evil Dead 1, sir. That ship has sailed.
Okay.
That was out like a week ago.
Okay.
We're on 2.
Okay, we're on 2. All right. Well,
yeah.
We might be a little bit fucked in this regard because
you think.
Well,
wow.
I didn't really pay that close attention to it. I didn't really do a lot of research.
That's disappointing. See, then you're in luck because I did pay attention to the film, and I didn't do much research, but I paid attention to the film. So you're in luck.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna give this a shot, and I'm gonna try my damnedest for everyone out there. So appreciate it, motherfuckers. I'm trying.
Yes, and then actually, wait. Before that, though, we have a really an intriguing interview with Mr. Danny Hicks, who played.
Intriguing interview. That is a hell of a way to put it, Mike. Look,
an intriguing interview with Danny Hicks, who played Jake in Evil Dead 2.
Deal.
If you say it sucks, I'm beeping you out.
I'm not gonna say it sucks. I'm gonna be honest real quick with everyone about the interview. Okay.
Honest. Listen to you. Okay, so we'll be right back after this.
Even now we have your darling Linda's soul. She suffers in torment.
You're going down. Chainsaw.
I don't think so. We just cut up our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound fine?
Well, we're back, and joining us right now, it is my great pleasure to welcome the great Danny Hicks from Evil Dead 2 and a myriad of other films that hopefully we'll get into here. So here he is.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for coming on. Honestly, when we were sitting down and considering the Evil Dead retrospective, Mike automatically asked me, because I'm the huge Evil Dead fan, who we wanted to try and get. And gotta say, Danny was one of the first people thrown on the list, and I'm honored that we have you, sir.
High praise indeed, my friends. High praise indeed.
Well, let's just get into this. What actually drew you to audition for Evil Dead 2?
My agent. Yeah, I was, even though I'm from Detroit, the same as Bruce and Sam and Rob Tappert are, I didn't know those guys. I was kind of in the theater world, and they were just starting out making their films. And my agent called me and asked me to audition for the part. And that's what I did, and I got the part, and that's how I became involved in the whole thing.
Well, that's cool. Since it was just kind of through your agent, were you a fan or aware of the first Evil Dead before this then?
No, I had never seen it or even heard of it. I heard, I think at the time they were making, I can't remember the name of the movie right now, but they were shooting it in Detroit, so I knew that there was a movie being made. But I didn't know those guys at all. The only one out of the whole group that I'd even met before was Ted Raimi, and that was through theater.
Okay. What really helped you figure out how you wanted to play Jake and all that, since, I mean, this guy's kind of an eccentric, out there character, and I'm just kind of curious what you chose to bring to it to make it your own.
Well, it's just like any other character role you play. I read the script, I talked with Sam, and evidently he thought I could bring something to the role through my audition. He saw possibilities that at the time I probably wasn't even aware of, and I just read the script and came up with a character, and I just approached it like any other role I would have, and Jake was born.
Well, that's cool. Since you brought up Sam, I gotta ask, I mean, I know you guys have kind of become friends, and you've worked on quite a few of his films throughout the time. Gotta ask, what was your favorite Sam Raimi movie to work on then? I'm just curious, man.
Well, I think my favorite Sam Raimi movie that I worked on was Darkman. That was is kind of a physically demanding role because I played a character with one leg. So we had to develop a harness and everything and tie my leg up behind my back. So it was very physically demanding. And I got to work with Liam Neeson, Francis McDormand, Larry Drake. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I really enjoyed it. In fact, it's still one of my favorite Sam Raimi movies.
Cool. I just, probably about a week ago, watched Oz, and are you in that? Because I could have swore I saw your name in the credits, but I don't recall seeing you.
You know, I worked on that show for, I haven't seen it myself, let me preface that. I worked on it for almost 4 weeks. And the scenes I'm in, or I was in, to be truthful with you, I'm not sure that I didn't end up on the cutting floor. Because a lot of people ask me where I am in the movie. And seeing as how I haven't seen it, all I can do is describe the scene. But yes, I did work on it, and people have told me that they've seen my name in the credits, but they haven't seen me. But then again, I've got a handlebar mustache that's almost a foot long, and the costume and everything, it doesn't look much like me, which is okay. So to be true, I don't know if I'm still in the movie or not.
Yeah, because that really threw me. When I was sitting there, Tim came on screen, and I was just like, oh, it's Tim. I've been talking to him. I saw the credits, and I was like, oh, Danny's in this too. It's like, I don't recall seeing him.
I'm in the same scenes as Tim Quill is.
Okay.
So I'm in there somewhere. If Tim's there, I've got to be there. And I had, I don't know how many, maybe 10 or 15 lines of dialogue. I'm just screaming at the witches, and they get all pissed off and start throwing fireballs at the crowd.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'm in the melee there somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just have to pay attention next time I watch it and really try and pick you out because, Tim's a little obvious. We've seen him with that mustache before and whatnot, so I'll have to pay closer attention for you.
I think he's at home with him, too. So.
Well, that's true. You and Tim have actually become good friends, too, right?
Yeah, I never met Tim until we did Spider-Man 2 together. Of course, I knew of him, and he knew of me. But after working on Spider-Man 2, we became pretty good friends. In fact, he lives right down the street from me.
Well, that's cool. And then you guys actually played a couple in My Name is Bruce.
Yes, we did. There's an interesting story behind that. Have you heard Tim's version of it yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, good. Then I get to tell my version first. Well, this is Bruce's, well, it wasn't his first movie, but it was his movie, 100% his movie. So he contacted us and said, come on up and help me make this movie. Well, we didn't have a script. So when we got up to Oregon, because we shot this in Bruce's backyard, in case you didn't know. We got up to Oregon, he says, well, you guys just come up with whatever you want to do. And just let me know about it before we start shooting. So Tim and I were talking, and I said, it would be funny, because Bruce is making fun of himself and Sam and everybody else. I said, it'd be funny if we just made fun of the characters that we played. So I said, I'm going to make fun of Jake for Evil Dead 2. Tim says, well, yeah, I'll make fun of the blacksmith in Army of Darkness. So we came up with this little bit. And just before we started shooting, Bruce came up to us and said, all right, so what are you going to do? So we told him. He listened to it very calmly and then said, okay, but you're gay. Roll cameras! So we had no idea we were going to be gay until about 2 seconds before they rolled footage.
Well, it actually worked because I remember the first time I watched it and then kind of the reveal that you two are a couple, and that just sold it to me because that made it that much funnier.
It was fun. In fact, if you watch very carefully, you can see me especially trying so hard not to laugh because I had no idea what was coming. And I didn't know if Tim was going to reach over and grab my hand or whatever it was he did and say, I can't quit on you, or wish I can't quit on you, whatever it was he said. I had no idea he was going to do that. It was interesting. It was an interesting shoot.
Well, then, what's it like working with Bruce? Because, he got you on My Name is Bruce, and, you guys worked together with Evil Dead 2, so I'm a huge fan of Bruce. What is it actually like working with the guy?
Well, working with Bruce is one thing. First of all, let me just say, I love Bruce Campbell. I love the actor. I love the man. He's one of the greatest, nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. Working with him is a lot more fun than working for him, if you know what I mean. He's a pretty tough director, which really kind of surprised me. He can kick some ass on his own set, when he's the boss. When he's not the boss, of course, he's just a laugh a minute. I mean, he's very serious about his craft, but it's more fun to work with him than it is for him.
That's interesting. I mean, I get it that him as a director, he's trying to be in control, but it's kind of nice that a lot of the stuff that you read and whatnot about Bruce is actually true, that he actually is a really nice guy. So
he's one of the nicest people I've ever worked with in my life. He really is. I'll give you an idea of what he is. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. He just decided to have Thanksgiving at his house up in Oregon. So he called like 10 or 15, probably closer to 15 of his friends down in L.A. and said, hey, go to the airport. I got tickets for you. And he flew us all up to Oregon in his house, and cooked a beautiful dinner for us, and it was just wonderful. He's just a real nice guy.
Now, did you guys get into any crazy hijinks or anything while making any of your films? Because I don't want to limit it to My Name is Bruce or anything like that.
Oh, well, let me see. I made a career out of beating the shit out of Bruce Campbell. Can I say that?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, we're uncensored.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think every film I've ever worked on, there's something crazy going on. I'd be hard pressed to think of something individually right now, but it's just the whole thing is mostly fun.
Out of the entire Evil Dead series, your character is the only one besides a couple bookcases to actually kick Bruce's ass. How does that feel to play the only character to best the chosen one?
You know what? I never thought of that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I'll have to mention that to Bruce next time I talk to him. I'm the only guy in Evil Dead that's kicked his ass. Hey, good for me.
I mean, he gets slapped around and whatnot. You know, you're the only non-Deadite to really kick his ass.
You know what? You're right. When I make that dramatic entrance into the cabin to confront Bruce and knock him down, and I'm sitting on top of him, and I raise both my fists back and smack him in the face, I actually hit him. I did. I mean, it was so hot inside that cabin and so sweaty. My feet were just covered with sweat, and they slipped inside the boots I was wearing and actually hit him in the face. And if you look real closely, you can see his lips starting to swell. So I thought, oh, that's great. You know, first day on the job, and I killed the lead actor. That's a good idea, Dan. So, but he was very forgiving.
Well, yeah, having read his biography, yeah, it seems like that seems to be an ongoing theme throughout the movies with him. What is probably the most memorable thing from shooting Evil Dead 2 for you?
Two things come to mind. Well, that one, the little screw up there. And then when I force him outside the cabin with the shotgun and hit Bruce in the back of the head, his foot comes up between my spread legs and hit me in the balls so hard. I just saw stars, and I managed to jump down off the porch, and Sam said, cut, and I just threw up all over everything. My balls swelled up like 3 times their normal size. Really, and that in the heat, it was so hot shooting that. I thought, especially poor Ted Rainey in that huge Henrietta suit, I thought the poor guy was going to die. I mean, they literally, when they take the suit off when we're done shooting, they'd pour sweat out of his boots. And it was just horrible. It was very hot. So
then, with you having said that, I guess I don't really have to ask what the worst part of filming it was.
I think that was at the heat. It was just so hot. They actually shot the interior cabin scenes was shot inside of a junior high school gymnasium in the middle of the summer in North Carolina. And it was 2 stories high. And, of course, you couldn't have air conditioning running when we were shooting, so it had to have been 110, 112 degrees in there. It was brutal.
Oh, my God.
And all the sweat you see on the actors' faces, none of that's been sprayed on. They didn't have to. It was very hot in there.
Yeah, and then getting fake blood and anything else on you, I can imagine that was not fun.
Oh,
It was sticky. Oh, that's another thing, too, of course. The blood was covered with Karo syrup and that kind of stuff, so the flies loved it, too. And that was interesting.
Oh, man. I gotta say, I really love kind of your character's demise in Evil Dead 2. I just think it's such a good payoff that we're convinced that it's Bruce that's coming to the door, and all of a sudden you rip the door open and she stabs you. You know, we get that great reveal that she's screwed up. She's probably killed the only other human, and then you actually get dragged into the fruit cellar and all the blood spraying out. What was it like to film that? And what did you think, not actually being aware of the Evil Dead, just coming in and kind of reading this?
I don't really remember that I had any adverse thoughts. To me it was just like, all right, we're just going to have a lot of fun doing this. So I didn't care what they did. Although when they dragged me down into the fruit cellar, when Henrietta drags me down the fruit cellar, the first time we did it, my only thoughts were, I'm going to fucking drown here. They had like 55 gallons of fake blood and a 3-inch fire hose hooked up to a high-pressure pump. And the first time we did it, the hose wasn't aimed correctly. And the blood just shot up, hit the trap door, and bounced right back and went right in my nose. So,
oh, my God.
I really thought I was going to drown. And then, of course, we had to do it again because the blood didn't come out of the trap door. It just all came back down into my face. So we had to do it again. That was interesting. But, I have to say this. That was my first feature film. So to me, it was just one huge adventure. I just loved every second of it.
Nice. What's it like for you to kind of look back on this film now with the knowledge that this film has had a huge impact with a lot of the fans?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. It's amazing. Certainly when we were shooting it, I don't think anybody could have possibly thought that it was going to go on to be as big as it is today. It'll be bigger tomorrow. It's just, the film is 25 years old or something? And It gets bigger and bigger every day. It's just incredible. I mean, I have so many people tell me that they just love the movie, and most of these people weren't even born when we actually shot the movie. They just love it. And it gets bigger every day. It's really incredible.
Now, I know you do a lot of conventions. Do you have any crazy stories from the fans?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure I have lots of stories, but most of them are X-rated, and I prefer to keep those myself. But what really surprised me more than anything else is I can't remember where I was. I think I was in Seattle, and we were doing a question and answer thing with Bruce Campbell. And the first thing he said is, how many people here have Evil Dead tattoos? And I thought, what? Who's going to have an Evil Dead tattoo? And there must have been 15 people in the audience that had Evil Dead tattoos, and they raised their hands, and I was just floored. I thought, Mike, are you kidding me? People have Evil Dead tattoos on their body? And they do. There's a lot of people there.
I'm actually not going to lie to you, Danny. I actually have a large Evil Dead related tattoo, so.
Attaboy.
See, I'm another member. Yeah, I actually have gotten a lot of shit for this. This is one of the things that I kind of like about Bruce is I actually sent this to him via Twitter, and he appreciated it, and he's actually kept the picture because I've seen before that he has actually reposted it. I actually have WWBCD tattooed across my stomach.
That's cool. I mean, it's just cool. In fact, I was at a convention here a couple of weeks ago. One of my best friends got the Evil Dead 2 skull tattooed on his shoulder.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It really looks cool. And kind of creepy because you walk around and the damn eyes follow you everywhere, and they're Bruce Campbell eyes. So it's just kind of freaky. But no, it's the ultimate compliment when you think about it. And Bruce actually sent me a picture one time of somebody who showed him his tattoo, and I think it was the skull from Evil Dead 2. And then the caption underneath it was, "These pages don't mean squat," which were my line. Ultimately, that's really one hell of a compliment. You know, it attests to how powerful the film has become.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was always, when I go back to get this touched up, have the little caption under it from "My name is Bruce." What would Bruce Campbell do? He'd run away. So I was always going to add "run away." And yeah. I don't know, talking to you, you're kind of cool. Maybe I'll add in what would Bruce Campbell do? I'll have the line be "kick Danny Hicks in the balls."
There you go. You know, in his second book, Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way, that's part of the plot of the book, where we had to change my name because, well, I can't get into that, but for legal reasons, we had to change my name from Danny Hicks to Lanny Six.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he talks about that in the second book.
I remember actually reading that, and I wasn't sure if it was ever true.
Oh, it was true. It was true. Just that part. The rest of it, of course, he just went nuts and made up whatever he wanted to. In fact, it was very funny because myself and Ted Rainey did an audio version of that book. So here I was reading my lines as me. I'm thinking, wait a minute, something's wrong with this. But it was fun.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have any plans to actually make any more films with Bruce or Sam or anybody?
Well, you know, I'll work with either one of them anytime. So it just depends on what they do next. I've heard talk that he's talking about Evil Dead 4. Now, I would love to work on that, but I don't know if that would be possible because of what happened to my character Jake in Evil Dead 2. Coming back would be, I don't know, kind of Jesus-like, I guess, because they did dismember me quite sufficiently. But no, I'd love to work with either one of them. I even though I said that Bruce is hard to work for as a director, that doesn't mean I wouldn't work for him. He's a great director. He's different as a director than he is as a fellow actor. But I'd love to work with either one of them anytime. We
actually just talked to Fede Alvarez a couple days ago. He said that Sam is working on an Evil Dead 4, and, I think it'd be great to be able to see you back again. Now, you wouldn't have to play the same character, and if, Sam has an issue with that, you can always point out that Ted Raimi's in every goddamn movie he makes.
That's true. Then again, I can't complain either because I've been in 5 or 6 of them. So
yeah.
But yeah, if there's any way we can work it out, believe me, I'll be there. I'll be there. Sure.
I think that'd be really cool for a lot of the hardcore fans.
Yeah, I think so too.
You don't really seem like you're much of a horror fan, So what kind of got you into the horror genre and acting in them? I know you said that Evil Dead 2 was your first feature, but I'm just kind of curious as to what got you to continue down that road.
I've always enjoyed horror, but I didn't even start acting until I was 29 years old. Yeah, I just kind of fell into it accidentally. I mean, I got on stage one day, kind of like a joke. This was back in Detroit, and I never got off. I didn't get off stage for 5 years, and people kept offering me parts, and then I started in television commercials and a lot of industrial films. So I got most of my training as a film actor from doing industrial films back in Detroit. And these are little training films that the automotive companies used to do constantly back in Michigan. I mean, just one after another. Every week they were making one. So, but I've always enjoyed horror films. It just so happens that Evil Dead 2 was my first film, and it happened to be a horror film, and it was just a lot of fun doing it.
What do you actually think of Evil Dead 2?
I enjoy it. In fact, I was in St. Louis not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and I went to this little get-together, and they showed Evil Dead 2. And I hadn't seen it in 4 or 5 years. It was kind of interesting. Some of the people there had never seen it before, and they were laughing and having a good time, and they were properly scared at the right places. So it's just a huge honor to have been involved in it at all. It's a good movie, and it certainly had the test of time.
Before I let you go, Danny, we actually had a couple listeners that unfortunately weren't able to join us, but sent us their questions. So do you have a problem if I ask these real quick, sir?
No, please do.
Okay. Cody asks, when you took part in Evil Dead 2, were you aware that it's a comedic spin on the original? And if so, do you think it was a success with the amount of horror franchises that were going in this direction that year?
Well, Cody, to be truthful with you, I didn't know there was such a thing as The Evil Dead when I filmed Evil Dead 2. So it's kind of hard to answer your question as far as how successful it was. You know, there are certain people out there that think that Evil Dead is the best of the trilogy. There are people out there that like Evil Dead 2 the most, and there are people out there that their favorite of the three is Army of Darkness. So it's hard to answer that question. All I can say is yes, it's kind of scary, and yeah, it's kind of funny. So that's it.
Yeah, and I agree. I think this one's actually very successful because a lot of the ones did kind of take a turnaround that year because we had Texas Chainsaw 2 come out, and they tried to take a comedic spin and whatnot. But I really think Evil Dead 2 was probably about the absolute most successful. And I think it's pretty much remembered as the most successful horror comedy probably for a long, long time.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let me say one other thing. I remember when I suddenly realized that this movie wasn't taking itself all that seriously. It's when I read this scene where Ash cuts his hand off and puts the trash can on top of it, and it stacks a pile of books on top of the trash can to keep the hand from running away. And the camera pulls back to reveal the title of the top book, which is A Farewell to Arms. Well, when I read that, I thought, okay, they're not taking themselves too seriously, which is a good thing. You know, this is going to be funny. You know, so I think that's when I absolutely realized that the film wasn't taking itself too seriously, which I thought was a very good thing.
Cool. And we have James. James asks, do you have any plans to go to the Chicago Comic-Con or Flashback Weekend?
James, I'm sorry, but not as of right now. That might change, but when is it? Do we know when that is?
Mike, do you have any idea?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I've got 3 or 4 conventions scheduled for later this year, but I don't believe those are one of them. I can tell you what they are, though, if you want to know where.
Please do.
Okay. I will be at sorry, my mouth isn't working. Fatality Fest, June 7th through 9th, and that's in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah, that's Andrea's. We actually talked to her a little bit ago. We're big supporters of her.
Yeah. I haven't met her yet, but she seems like a very interesting woman, so it'll be fun to meet her. Then I will be at Contamination. That's August 2nd through the 4th in St. Louis, Missouri. I will be at Shaka Khan, September 20th through 22nd, Charleston, West Virginia, and I expect everybody to be at this one. The Weekend of Horrors, November 8th through 10th in Germany.
Wow.
So somebody sent me an article not too long ago that said that Evil Dead 2 is considered the 50th best film of all time in Europe. Not horror film, just film.
That's awesome. I wasn't even aware of that.
I wasn't either, but I read that and I thought, my God, you haven't seen it. I mean, there's a lot of good movies that have been made over the centuries, you know, or the 120 years or whatever it is. So, but Evil Dead 2 is considered the 50th best movie ever made.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to going to Germany and find out if this is true.
Well, Danny, I really want to thank you for coming on. I think it's a huge honor for you to come on and to share your experiences with Evil Dead 2 and everything. So in closing, is there anything that you'd like to tell the fans out there?
Stay spooky, people. That's it. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. And remember, they're just movies.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danny. Once again, best of luck with everything.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure and a privilege being on your show.
I thought the movie was completely great. It was the most brutal brains and guts I've ever seen in my life. It was hot. I mean, it was so scary. I was jumping out of the seat.
I hid through about half of it.
Blows Texas Chainsaw away.
Evil Dead 2.
It's a classic horror film.
Dead by Dawn. Coming soon to a theater near you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is the one and only Ted fucking Raimi.
That is me. That's 100% correct. It is Ted fucking Raimi on the phone.
Yeah, honestly, it is a huge, huge honor, Ted, and I am thrilled to have you on.
Oh, go on. No, go on. Keep going. I'm all ears.
I've followed you for years, and honestly, I never, ever thought that we would get you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I'm out of prison now, and I'm on the work release program, so this is actually part of my condition. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking, of course. I'm very honored to be on the phone with you guys. I love your site, and it's great to have true horror fans, talk to horror folks, and it's great. Ask away.
All right. Well, we're doing a special Evil Dead month right now for our show.
Right.
So could you tell us, Ted, how you actually got involved with the Evil Dead franchise?
Sure. Well, of course, the Evil Dead movie was directed by my brother, the original one. The new one, directed by Fede, is a slightly different deal, but the original, way back when, was shot in 78 and 79, and actually 79. And so those days earlier, excuse me. No, that's right. So I was only about 14, like a 14-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid. And, I was in junior high school. But I flew down to Tennessee because my dad thought it would be a good idea for me to, go on location, because at that point I was already interested in acting, He thought, look, get this kid some real world experience. So I went in there, and when I arrived, I was greeted, by my brother at the airport, who at that point had spent every dime he ever had on that movie, and they were already halfway through production.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said to me was, "Dad give you any money?" I went, "Yeah," gave me money for whatever, Clark bars and stuff. I had I had $40, $50 in my pocket, and my dad had given me to get, just for fun expenses for 3 days staying there. He goes, "Well, give it to me because we don't have any money to eat with." So I threw my $40 in his hand, and that was the beginning. And that was sort of the start of that shoot. We shot that in Tennessee, and one of the coldest winters Tennessee has ever known. To this date, I believe, maybe only eclipsed by this recent year, if I'm not mistaken. But that's sort of how Evil Dead got started for me. I was down there. I was just a kid. I was helping out the catering department. I'd bring stuff to set, and that cabin was a remote cabin. They had, a little skeleton crew was working on it. And it was fun. It was just like, a bunch of, elder, sort of like 18, 19, 20-year-old kids all living in this house, acting like whatever 18-year-old kids would who got a house for the first time, visit any college campus to know that that's true.
Yeah.
Which is to say there's just clothes thrown everywhere. Dishes were piled to the ceiling. The place stunk, but, they were making a movie, and it was Evil Dead, But that movie was not, contrary to popular belief, a college film project. A lot of people think that movie was, a little college movie that they sort of made for class, and it really wasn't. That was a real movie with real money. I think by today's dollars, it's something like a $2.5 to $3 million movie or something. So it's low for sure, but it wasn't made for peanuts on Super 8. And that was my introduction. What's that?
I said, oh God, no. I'm actually a huge fan of the original Evil Dead. It's one of my absolute favorite films of all time. And
oh yeah, and listen, I'm sure you know it. I say this for the benefit of your listeners who may not know that, or just tuning in and might think, oh, that was a fun little student movie.
Yeah.
It's because, of course, the quality as time goes on, and it's easier to create higher quality with lower budget things.
Yeah.
That now appears to be a very, very low budget picture, but in fact it wasn't. Those are the days when there was, the only people that ever shot on video were TV studios.
I know that you actually did some acting in that one. How much would you actually say you are in the original?
Very little. I'm very little. I mean, you can see my hands coming up through the floorboards to grab Bruce Campbell's face. My feet are actually, I'm sort of, shemping in for Hal Delrich's feet as he walks toward the curtain. Maybe a couple more little bits in the background, but that's it,
Okay.
It's funny, I get asked that a great deal, but some guy interviewed me yesterday from England, and he said, so what happened to your career after that? I said, well, I went back to junior high school. Finished my finals. Nothing happened. I was like 14 years old. I didn't even, really understand that I was a human being at that point. But it was good. I mean, it did sort of open my eyes to, to what I could do for the rest of my career. And then right after I got out of high school, I started working. So, but that was a great introduction to movie making.
Yeah, and then from right there, you, I mean, how important was Evil Dead 2 for you as an inspiring actor?
It was important for me because it was a baptism by fire. Very few actors begin their career in that way. It started, I went down, we were in this, we shot Evil Dead 2 in a crappy gym in North Carolina, this abandoned high school, this very small town. And it was summertime in North Carolina, so the inside the gym was about 100 degrees. And, of course, I was in a giant foam latex suit with tons of appliances on my face. Now, these days, when you make appliances for a face, that's, for those of you who don't know, appliances are the individual pieces of foam rubber latex that go on a face to create monster makeup. In those days, it would take about 15 to 20 pieces individually glued on my face, taking around 5 to 6 hours to complete that costume, sitting in a chair. These days, though, it's much easier for actors because they can do it in 2 or 3 pieces, because the blending techniques have gotten so much better since that movie was made. But so that was really hard to sit in that chair for 6 hours, then to go into that gym, which inside the suit was probably close to 110 degrees, and just gulping Gatorade. They even got an oxygen mask for me so I wouldn't pass out. In addition, they had a shop vac that was turned, that they reversed the flow of, and they would plug it into the back of the suit to give me some air. So it was rough, and I was 20, so when you're 20, you can kind of take it. How old are you guys right now?
I'm actually 29 right now.
Yeah, you'd both be dead doing that now. Even at, even at around 30, it's too much. But at 20 years old, I could just barely take it. I remember while we were shooting that, I was invited to a party that K&B was throwing. Greg Nicotero, Howard Berger, and all those guys were throwing this party, including Mark Sjostrom and stuff. And so I went, yeah, great, And so this is going to be great. And so those guys knew, all, tons of girls and stuff. I thought it was going to be a blast. And I went over the party after work, and as soon as I got there, I crawled behind a couch. It was about 8 o'clock at night, and I fell asleep. And that's what my life was like, for like 3 weeks of shooting that movie. I just couldn't keep my eyes open. Also, there was so much glue used that I remember waking up frequently, at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning with my ear just stuck to the pillow, glued to the pillow, and having to like peel it off because they just couldn't get it all out. There was so much on there. But anyway, that was a real baptism by fire, as I said, because no other movie I've ever done, no matter how long it's been, no matter how lousy the hours were, no matter how bad the script was or anything like that, as a director or an actor, was ever as hard. So everything in my entire life that I've ever done since that it felt like a piece of cake. It's sort of like, it's why you almost never find ex-Marines hunting for animals. It's because when someone's shooting back at you, hunting for game is really, really boring, and for the same reason, any movie I've done where they said, hey, Ted, let me throw a little blood on you. Is that okay? Is that okay? And the makeup artist's hands are shaking and their eyes are darting left and right because they're so used to actors going, I don't want that crap on me. For me, it doesn't even matter. It's all nothing. So it was a great intro for that reason.
Well, that's awesome. Now you're also in Army of Darkness.
Right.
Honestly, out of the entire franchise, what would you say, which one stands out the most to you?
Well, I don't like to play favorites with movies. I mean, they're all great and they're such different movies that it's very hard to gauge which one is my favorite. So that I'll stay away from. But I'll say that Army of Darkness was really much more like a I guess. Like a 1960s Ray Harryhausen movie brought up to modern standards, That really felt like a Jason and the Argonauts much more than like say, an Evil Dead type picture.
Oh, yeah.
That said, they're all kind of great in their own way.
Oh, yeah. I believe, so many people gravitate to this franchise just because no matter what you like from it, you're going to be able to find that in these films. I
think so, too. I happen to agree with that.
Now, just with your current stuff, I know you have the Morbid Minutes going on right now.
That's right. I have Morbid Minutes. That was for Lionsgate's Break Media. And I'm writing a new show for network television, cable television, of a similar vein that I've been pitching around town lately. And I've also got a feature film that I'm pretty close to getting greenlit just at the moment, but only time will tell, So that's what I'm keeping myself busy with right now. I've always loved horror and fantasy and sci-fi, but mostly horror. So now as a director these days, I've been sticking pretty close to it.
Well, that is awesome, and I wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Before we let you go, Ted, one last question.
Of course.
Is there anything that you'd like to tell the fans out there?
Yes. A couple things. First of all, let me just make sure I get these dates right, because the last thing I want to do to have thousands of your fans finding me and then killing me because I've given wrong dates. And horror fans know how to kill better than anybody. That's the truth. Thursday, April the 4th, 2013, at the Westwood Theater here in Los Angeles, California, in Westwood, which is just outside of it, which is just a little bit near, right on the beach near L.A., is an Evil Dead Festival is going on at the campus of UCLA, and they're screening all the Evil Dead films in a row. And me, Scott Spiegel, and my other old buddy, Greg Nicotero, will be there to answer questions, and we've got, little tidbits and stuff. So as it's sort of a ramp up to the new Evil Dead movie directed by Fede. And that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. So whoever's around town in L.A. should try and get in. I don't even know if there's tickets anymore, but if there are, now's the time to call, I guess. Well, that's it. Go to my damn website, read my damn blog, tedramey.com. There you go. Follow me on Twitter, Ted Ramey. You want to know more? I answer most every, reasonable question ever given to me. So if any fans most fans don't know that. They think, I'm just sort of like, gliding by my social media. But, if you want to ask me a question, you can, as long as it's reasonable, not.
Well, that is awesome that you're staying in contact with your fans and you're, that's
Twitter's
awesome.
Twitter's the greatest thing ever. But back in the old days, like, when I first started in this business, when I was doing like Xena and, as an actor on Sequest and all that stuff, movies I'd done, Clear and Present Danger, all that, writing, you just had to write fans back old school and letters. Now that you don't have to do that anymore. Now it's just all Twitter, which is kind of great because it's instantaneous. I love it.
Honestly, as a fan, when you do get that response, it's always so nice. I just want to thank you as a fan that you stay in contact with your fans. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. You're totally welcome. And hey, thanks for interviewing me, guys. It's been an honor. I think you got a great site, and call me next sometime. We'll chat some more about some new stuff when it comes available.
Awesome. I would love to do that.
Cool.
And we're back with Evil Dead 2 retrospective. And John, I gotta say one thing.
Go.
Let's roll this bitch.
Gotta say, I really do like the catchphrase, Mike.
It's just funny how, like, there was that dead silence and there was that little...
Well, like, I was just like, go, taking a drink, and then... I was like, oh.
Yeah, well, didn't you know that's what I was going to say?
I had no idea. I didn't know.
Really? Well, what'd you think I was going to say? Let's hear what you thought.
I thought you were probably going to throw something insulting or corny towards me, so I was just like, yeah, whatever you got.
How about I say this? Bruce Campbell is Wuzzle Wuzzle.
I don't speak gibberish, so whatever. Yeah, let's get into this. Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Dead by Dawn! Dead by... Yeah, whatever. Okay. So, first and foremost, let's hit some quick little trivia, because I don't fucking know.
There's trivia in the movie?
Well, there's a tiny bit, but I meant, like, in the beginning where I hit up the whole little, like, interesting aspects before the film.
Oh, wait. Oh! I thought you were talking about how, like, the first 10 minutes of the movie or so is a redux of...
No, we're getting into that later.
And then, oh, okay.
Pause. You hold that.
Okay. I will.
All right,
so don't worry, I will.
They made The Evil Dead, and then their follow-up film was Crime Wave. Crime Wave. After Crime Wave, Sam, Bruce, and Rob Tappert decided they kind of needed to reestablish themselves and kind of get back to what worked. And
is it? Hold on a minute. Is it because Crime Wave was not the best film ever?
Crime Wave fucking bombed.
Hey, isn't Angus Scrimm the tall man in Crime Wave? I believe he is.
I do believe so. And yeah, that movie bombed, so they kind of went back to what worked for them, and we get Evil Dead 2. But another really interesting aspect about this, and I actually really like this.
Aside from the fact that it's a remake, but
No. You know how one of the big driving forces originally with the Evil Dead was the fact that Stephen King endorsed it. Well,
yeah, but see, if I was Stephen King, I wouldn't have endorsed Evil Dead 2 because, you know.
Well, there's actually no endorsement, but here's kind of something that's really interesting. Well, Stephen King was having dinner and discussing the current project he was actually directing with Dilo De Laurentiis, which the current project was Maximum Overdrive, I think the only film Stephen King has directed. He was talking about, you know, the Evil Dead and how much he was a fan of it and everything, and actually convinced Dino to, you know, finance the sequel. So that's how we actually got some big financing behind Evil Dead 2 was, once again, Stephen King came to the rescue.
So Stephen King basically financed a quasi-remake, quasi-new film.
All right. Well, let's just get right into this then, all right?
Yeah, please.
Evil Dead 2 has quite a bit of confusion and controversy around it.
It's not confusing.
Well, here's kind of the thing, because we have Evil Dead 1 with everyone. We know it. We went through it. At the very end, you know, the Force rips through the cabin, hits Ash, and we get the whole blackout.
And he's dead. He's dead.
And Evil Dead 2, we get, you know, Ash and Linda going to cabin once again.
Yeah, but Linda's dead, see? And then now she's back. So that leads me to believe that, yes, it is a remake. So, okay.
Well, here's the thing. With Dino, you know, financing this, they had a completely different company behind them. And they couldn't actually use any of the stock. They couldn't use any of the stock footage. They couldn't use anything from the original. And they actually couldn't even get too close to, like, replicating it, because they did have certain stuff already set up.
Well, then Bruce shouldn't have been in it.
Huh?
If they couldn't get close to replicating it, then Bruce should not have been in it.
No, but what I mean by that is they couldn't get, like, the exact same people back. They couldn't get, you know, have the characters, because it'd be too close to it when another company kind of was dealing with that and had some of the rights to it. So we get the first, 10 minutes that are changed due to that. And, you know, Sam, Bruce, and Rob have all gone on record saying that, you know, it's not a remake, it's not a reboot. They kind of had to get away from the original not to get sued, but this was kind of their way of, like, catching everyone up to what happened in the first Evil Dead. So,
well, what do they
fuck
think
you, Mike. Fuck
well,
you.
wait a minute. No. Fuck them. Because are they to believe? Am I to believe that they think that nobody saw the first Evil Dead because they had to catch people up? I think that that's just a cop-out excuse because they don't want to admit that it was a remake. So
it's not a remake,
you, John. Fuck you.
No, because look, I even have, you know, quotations from the star, producer, and fucking writer-director.
Okay, first of all, I don't
not
count Bruce,
a fucking remake.
I don't count Bruce Campbell as a star in any stretch of the imagination.
Bruce Campbell is a fucking star. He's the man.
Maybe. And this is another thing too. If they were trying to get away from the look of the original, well, because obviously we know they couldn't get the ladies of the Evil Dead to reprise their roles, which is no big surprise. So why did they just keep Bruce on? Why didn't they just go with somebody else?
Well, because Bruce was the leading star. Bruce has been with them from the beginning, and honestly, because, you know, it's supposed to pick up right where the first one ends,
right,
which, you know,
Ash died. So see, this is what I'm saying. Ash died, so
Ash didn't die because it picks up. If you actually just, like, cut out that little snippet, there's gonna be some slight differences. But, you know, Ash is standing there, the Force fucking hits him, it throws him through the trees, he hits the tree, hits the puddle and whatnot, and he's possessed, you know? it picks up right there.
It was goofy. I mean, the whole aspect of him being possessed. Honestly, you know, I do like the film, but it's goofy in that sense.
What do you mean? The fact that he gets possessed after being attacked by the Force?
Yeah, I mean, that I thought was a little too, you know, and I mean, I like it, but it's just, it seems like that's a little too much.
Well, if you remember in the original, that's how a couple of the characters actually became Deadites, as they were attacked by the Force. Right. So I kind of think they just gave us a little bit more than we saw in the original. But here's what really confuses me about this, is Ash gets attacked, you know, turns into a Deadite, and then, you know, he turns back. What the fuck does this mean? Is it because of the sun, as they kind of played it up, or is it because Ash is special? I mean, is there something different about this guy that he can become a Deadite and just switch back?
I don't know, and I wonder that myself. That doesn't make sense to me. How can you go where, like, only his hand is possessed, and then he takes off his hand, so then it stops it? I don't get it.
And see, we get that with this movie a couple times, because, you know, in the beginning, the Force attacks him, and Ash becomes a Deadite. And you're led to believe, or at least Ash believes, that the sun's what drove it out. We get the hand starts to become possessed, and we get the cool effect, just like we do in the first one with Linda, with the black coming out from the wound and whatnot, and we get that, and his hand becomes just like a Deadite, but it kind of stops, and he cuts his hand off, which fucking cool as shit. Love that scene. But it doesn't, like, continue with him. And then later in the film, he becomes a Deadite again. And he finds, like, the fucking cheap-ass pendant that he gave his girlfriend. And, like, that emotional connection brings him out of it.
So wait a second. Is that how we're supposed to suspend belief that this isn't a remake? Because he finds the pendant that he gives Linda in the original.
Well, I here's my belief.
Okay.
All right. I think they gave us on-the-nose quick explanations around this. Like, the sun drove it out. They don't really explain the hand. Maybe it just didn't spread up past that before he cut it off. And then, you know, he becomes a Deadite again. Wait, let me go,
right,
please.
Continue, yes.
The hand. Fuck you got me thrown off, you know. He becomes a Deadite again, and fucking seeing the pendant, he starts to cry as a Deadite and then turns back normal. And they lead you to believe that it's the sun, it's whatever with the fucking hand, I don't know. And then it's the pendant. And nobody else, not a single other character, though, has anything like that. And I almost want to say it's because there's something different about Ash.
Yeah. Well, that's bullshit. Let me tell you why. Because I don't believe for a second that it could have only spread to his hand and then it didn't go any further before he cut it off. That's a bullshit excuse. Because when Linda got it in the ankle or wherever the hell she got stabbed with the pencil or whatever the thing was, she was pretty much possessed like that second.
Well, no, because if you think about it, we really don't know how long she was laying in bed. We don't know how long that took. We did just get the cool scene where, like, he throws back the blanket and we see it spread out, but we don't know how long that was at work, honestly.
Oh, we know. We know. It was only a few minutes.
I actually want to say it was probably longer than that. It might have been like an hour or so in real life.
Well,
but
we need
in
to
the
get
film,
Sam
it was
Raimi
only
on.
a couple minutes.
We need to talk to Sam Raimi then, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I tend to disagree with you, actually.
You do not think that Ash is, you know, anything special with this or anything like that? You don't think that's a possible explanation?
Oh, no. Because Ash isn't special by any stretch of the imagination. He's just a normal Joe Schmo that works at S-Mart.
And I think that's what's so cool about this, is that, you know, he is not what you would think of and we actually get to watch this character grow and develop from kind of the meek, unopposing guy to the guy that's going to step up and do what he has to a guy that becomes a full-fledged hero later on.
Hold on a second. I just have to go on because I just think that that's crap, and I'll tell you why. Because all right, first of all, in Evil Dead 1, he was pussified.
He was meek.
He was pussified. In Evil Dead 2, he was pussified until he put the chainsaw on himself.
Oh, bullshit.
I'm not bullshitting.
You're full of shit.
No.
Dude, how is he a pussy in that one? Because, he cuts up his fucking girlfriend with the chainsaw. He fucking grabs the axe and hacks up, the fucking preppy professor assistant guy, whatever the fuck he was, Ed. He's not a fucking pussy. He's just... He's not full-fledged badass yet.
Well, no, full-fledged badass. He never could be because he's... I mean, I don't want to get into the Army of Darkness stuff because we're not there yet.
And that's why I just lightly touched upon it.
Right. But the way that I'm looking at it as the way that I'm seeing is that there are just certain instances when the Deadites, when he gets attacked by his hand and he gets the shit beat out of him and smacked around and shit, he just, cries, like he's a crying little baby, like he's a pussy. That's the bottom line.
He just runs over and throws it under the sink. It's just kind of, relaxing, oh, fuck. And then it starts attacking him. He's surprised, and it throws him to the ground, and it keeps the attack.
It's ridiculous.
Dude, he gets fucking stunned. And then after that, you're saying he's kind of...
Dude, it's
No, you're saying he's a pussy, and he fucking stabs himself in the hand with the knife, pulls the chainsaw with his teeth, which if you've ever started a chainsaw, he's got to be a badass motherfucker. And
so
then
I'm guessing you started a chainsaw.
He cuts off his own hand. He lops his hand off at the fucking wrist. Badass.
Pussified.
Mike, your legs have turned against you for how long now, and I haven't seen you grab a chainsaw.
Of course not, because I don't need to. They're not possessed by Deadites. But I'll tell you what,
valid point,
if I ever do get possessed by Deadites, my legs will be the first to go.
Dude, if you ever get possessed by a Deadite, or, turned into a Deadite and possessed by a Kandarian demon, sorry, I had to correct you, you really don't have to worry about it, because I'm going to hack your ass up, and it's going to be fucking quick, and I'm going to laugh. Sorry. But, you got to enjoy some of the stuff in life.
You're just going to say, I'm glad that bastard's dead, because I don't have to listen to him rip on Bruce anymore.
Bruce is the fucking man, and you know what? Once you're dead, laying on the floor, twitching, I'm going to say, groovy.
And then... You know what? I'll order you to put my head in a vice and I'll torment you.
Okay, I can live with that. Even once you're dead, we can continue the show.
Good. As it should be.
All right, getting back to the movie. After that whole debacle with kind of becoming a Deadite, Ash gets back to the cabin. Linda's headless body, which he just fucking left outside, when he knows he needs to chop him up. I said this in the beginning, in the fucking first show, in the beginning of this retrospective, he just fucking left her outside. Fucking chop that bitch up. But anyway, she comes back.
Here's my question, real quick. She didn't have nipples.
Good point. Well, they rotted off.
They don't rot off.
They did with her. Or she had very tiny nipples.
That's not accurate.
You don't know. Have you seen that actress's nipples? That mold could have been exact.
No, because I doubt that the actual actress was that thin. Especially now.
Okay, but past the bad, puppet with no nipples that Mike picked up on. Okay, here's my question for you,
Actually,
Mike.
It wasn't a puppet. It was stop-motion animation. Claymation.
No, some of it was stop-motion and some of it was a puppet.
Oh, well.
Like,
aren't we special?
Like, here's something. The whole scene where you're seeing her dance and all ballerina like, that's stop motion, and it's actually a ballerina that taught dance class at Sam's high school.
Oh, I was gonna say that you were gonna tell me that Bruce took one for the team and did the dance.
Oh no. But here's my question for you, Mike.
Yeah.
Were you watching this and you're just sitting there on Blu-ray with it, and it's just like, oh, here comes up the naked Linda, and just like, did you start to undo your pants a little bit, looking for the nipples and whatnot?
Well, not really, because it was a puppet.
I don't know, man. You were paying attention to that shit. I never
because
picked up on the fact that the nipples weren't there.
Well, no, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, this is awesome in surround sound, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, she doesn't have any nipples. I'm like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I was ready to write Sam Raimi an indignant email because of it.
Okay, Mike. Moving past the fact that you were obsessed that it didn't have nipples.
Yeah.
He ends up he cuts her up with a fucking chainsaw,
right?
Which I enjoy that. I like the sound design. I like that we just see it in shadow and the blood spraying. I think that was pretty cool. And then he goes back and he just kind of like loses his fucking shit, Do you think when you see him losing his shit here, do you think that any of this stuff could be happening in his head past that? Like the fucking deer laughing at him and all that. Do you think any of this is actually like taking place in his head, or are the Kandarian demons really fucking with him?
I think it's a little mix of both. I think that with Linda, he probably had a little bit too much to drink. And I think when she
No, because if you remember, he opened the champagne and he was bum bum singing, and then he dropped it before they even had any.
Oh, he licked it off the floor.
No, that could happen.
Yeah.
I know some people that would.
I'm sure you do.
Oh, you do too.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I do.
Don't deny it.
But I would say, I think that I think that some of it, like I said, is his mind playing tricks, and then some of it is the Kandarian demons. Like I think that the whole deer head was a little. I think that was probably all in his head, because it was a little freaky that the deer would just start like dancing around like that and doing that shit,
Yeah, I kind of think all of that was pretty much just Ash pretty much losing his shit there for a little bit. And then we had, like, everyone else kind of arrive, and, it kind of snaps him back to reality. So, 2 different takes, whatever you believe, good for you.
Right.
But,
Exactly.
From here, we kind of got, Ash cuts off his hand. He has the whole fight with that. And then, Annie, Ed, Jake, and Bobby Joe show up. And kind of, Ash freaks out, shoots the door. Jake comes in, beats the shit out of Ash, and they kind of throw his ass in a basement. And then, of course, they find the tape recorder and start listening to it. And we get new information that Professor Noby's wife, Henrietta, went nuts, gets possessed, and tries to kill him. And, she then, decides to pop up out of the fucking floor in the basement and attack Ash. Dude, what the fuck do you think took that bitch so long to pop up out of the fucking floor and attack somebody?
Well, nobody was down there, so that's
No,
why.
because this is a continuation from the first one. There have been people there. Why the fuck did she wait so long?
Well, because I'll tell you why. Ted Raimi wasn't cast in the role yet.
Ted hadn't quite suited up yet for that part, huh?
No,
he was still in high school.
He was still his around 14-year-old svelte self, and he just was not ready to don the Henrietta Diggs as of yet.
Honestly, that's something that kind of gets me. I mean, I get that the guy couldn't kill her and he buries her in the basement. That's fine, but looking at it as a continuous story, that's kind of a hole, because she should have come up before.
Right.
But
well, here's
it is a really good plot piece, though. So
well, I just don't get why you would bury somebody in the basement like that. Well, see, yeah, why wouldn't you just take her outside and like throw her, like dump her off that bridge that they had there on the way to the cabin?
Well, obviously, because, anytime you try and really leave the cabin, the force comes after you, the trees, like, everything starts to turn against you.
Well, then you know what? Give it to the force. Don't bury it and make the force have to go through the earth and the dirt and all that crap to get to it. Just throw it right out there.
Here's kind of the deal, he drug her down to the basement, he buried her, and then he fucking nailed the basement door shut, which, we do see in the first one, and chained it up. So I think he just thought that it was kind of like a double layer of protection for himself.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think that professor was kind of a gay gentleman?
Gay?
Yes.
Why?
Because Henrietta probably, if you look at it this way, probably was at least a hermaphrodite. She probably had something tucked underneath.
Well,
and I'm not kidding, and the reason I say that is because if you listen to her voice when she's like, "I swallow your soul," that doesn't sound like a loving wife and woman. So
no. Here's the thing, Mike. She's possessed at that point. And it's actually the demon speaking. But if you recall, she actually turns back into her normal self, fucking with Annie, singing the song and begging her to be let out. She's obviously a very kindly old woman, the kind that anybody would want to have as their grandma. So,
would you like to have her as your grandma, John?
Dude, I don't know. My grandparents all died before I even got to know what grandparents really were, so...
Oh, that's unfortunate. I apologize. No.
Yeah, eat your fucking words there.
That's okay. My grandparents died, years ago. So, yeah. But I don't know. It's just like, I don't like it.
You don't like what? Her?
No, not really.
You don't like Henrietta?
Oh, no. Scratch that. I like Henrietta. I just think that the representation of her corpse,
normal,
so to speak, is wrong.
Oh, as a corpse.
Well, and no, the normal representation of the corpse is wrong.
What do you mean? I'm
like
confused.
When she transforms back into the old woman to fuck with Annie, I don't believe that she really looked that way.
I don't know, because, Annie kind of looks like she's around late 20s, 30s.
Right.
And this woman looks like she's fucking mid-80s. So, when the fuck did she pop her out?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not accurate. I think they just did that, for effect.
Well, apparently the professor had a thing for old ladies.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
He was a MILF hunter before it was cool.
Well, that's understandable, but then you got to look at it this way. If she was that old when he, hooked up with her and when Annie was a baby, then you got to figure she's gone through menopause long before that, and those eggs are way dried up.
Well, Annie was just getting powdered milk, straight from the source.
Ew.
Yeah, anyway, moving on. From here, the preppy guy, Ed, goes deadite. Ash, as I've previously said, mans up and hacks his ass up with an axe. And then, this is where it kind of throws me off. Professor Nobi forces himself into the world. What the fuck is this? And then, they did this instead of the badass seance scene that we had to wait until Drag Me to Hell, because that's actually what Sam originally had intended, was they were going to hold a seance.
For what?
No, to, contact the entity, Professor Nobi, to just contact something and try and figure out what the fuck is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of that, we just get Professor Nobi forces himself into the world. Really?
Yeah, that's kind of different.
And honestly, the seance scene was the only scene I really, really enjoyed from Drag Me to Hell.
I didn't enjoy any of that movie, so...
I liked the seance. I thought that was really good. So I think Sam could have pulled off something really fucking cool, and I think that's a lost opportunity on our part.
Yeah, that is a shame, considering that he had to throw it in such a disappointing film.
You know, I really wish I could argue that with you and say, you know, Mike, you're wrong. It was a good movie, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't. So, yeah, I think we're both just agreed on what the fuck with this one. So, I think it was just kind of a way for them to explain shit real quick, but I think they should have gone with the seance. That could have been really fucking cool. But we didn't get it. And what we do get is the fucking hand shows up. Bobby Joe runs off. I love that name. I always want to put like that southern slang to it. It's not Bobby Joe. It's Bobby Joe. Yeah, Bobby Joe runs off. Okay, but anyway, Bobby Joe runs off. I did it again. I'm not even doing it on purpose.
No, that's just, yeah.
Yeah, you can't say Bobby Joe.
Bobby Joe.
Yeah, Bobby Joe runs off, and we get kind of like a new take on the tree rape. And I think this was kind of cool because, like, all the little things are going in her, and she's getting dragged along.
That was, you know, I was going to bring that up too. Thank you for mentioning that.
Well, of course, your big things that you want to bring up are the fact that Linda's corpse doesn't have nipples and tree rape. Goddamn, right. Mike.
Definitely. First of all, the actress who played Bobby Joe must have had it in her contract or a deal or whatever that she wasn't to do nudity because there was none. And first of all, no tree semen was exhibited in this film. So,
you know, I actually had somebody contact me about that, Mike.
Somebody contacted you about the tree semen.
About tree semen, and they had to correct you, saying that you were
wrong.
wrong.
They listened to the show.
They had to say that you were wrong, and tree semen would be brownish, just like tree sap. So
I disagree with whoever said that.
But past that,
because semen is not brown, so I disagree.
I'm actually going to go off from what you said. I don't think it was that she had something in her contract. I think actually Sam had probably received so much flack about that that he kind of wanted to put a new spin on it.
Well, you know what? If you're not going to do it right, cut it all together. I'm sorry.
No, I thought this was kind of interesting because we get her like completely screaming and freaking out and the thing's shooting in her face. And she's getting dragged along so fast that the puddles are, like, exploding. And, like, the tree has a face and it's growling at her, and it, like, just pulls her straight in. It was cool. I'm not saying it's bad.
It was dumb. I just love when you're like, it was shooting all over her face.
I said in her face.
Well, in her face, on her face, wherever.
Jesus Christ, Mike. You know... There's a new rule from now on. You're going to have to watch some porn and spank little Mikey before we fucking record, because Jesus Christ, man. What the fuck?
I'm just saying, that's all. I'm making an observation.
All right. Yes. But from here, you know, we end up, some shit happens, and we get probably one of the greatest montages ever of Ash creating his chainsaw hand and, you know, the sawed-off shotgun, and it's just fucking awesome.
I will say it is fairly cool.
Yeah, is fucking cool as shit. We get the awesome groovy. And, you know, a little snidbit, if you actually pay attention, I mentioned this in the first one, we had the Hills Have Eyes poster. This actually continued because Wes Craven picked up on it, and actually in Nightmare on Elm Street, the movie Nancy's watching is The Evil Dead. Mm-hmm. And Evil Dead 2, if you pay attention in the woodshed just above the door, is Freddy's glove hanging there. And the funny thing
did not
is
notice.
the reason the glove changed in the Nightmare on Elm Street series is because somebody sold the prop, and that's how it ended up on Evil Dead 2.
Really?
Yeah. Like, Sam, nobody really owns up to it, but that's the legitimate prop from, I forget which Nightmare. It was either 2 or 3. Yeah, it was literally stolen.
It couldn't have been 3 because 3 came out in '87, the same year as Evil Dead 2. So I wouldn't think that it was 3. I would think that it was either 1 or 2.
So somebody was probably, on both sets and stole the glove from 2. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that is definitely cool. I will give you that, definitely.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that, Wes Craven got in on it and they kind of got a back and forth going.
Well, yeah, I mean, Wes Craven is a decent human being, as is Sam.
Yeah, no, and I don't know. I find that intriguing to kind of get into that little behind-the-scenes shit.
Oh, yeah, no, totally.
But, from here, Jake had already been a douchebag, throwing the pages down in the cellar with Henrietta, and Ash goes down, he gets the pages, and he starts to translate them to banish the evil, and Ash ends up and kicks Henrietta's ass. Fucking pretty cool, I guess. I mean, it looked choreographed as shit, but pretty cool. I do like the whole little, I'll swallow your soul, swallow this. Boom! That was cool.
That was good, I will say that. That was good.
Yeah, obviously, because Mike's already stole that for the intro to one of the shows.
I did. Well, no, because there's a story behind that, and I'll just recite it real quick. I used to I had a friend, and we used to watch that together a lot, and he used to say that Henrietta reminded him of me. So the part where it was like, I'll swallow your soul, swallow this. Ah! Well, we used to play that like all the time, and he would say that was me. So,
well,
I actually had that
cool.
as a ringtone on my phone for a while.
Your delivery on the Henrietta, not bad, but save the Ash for somebody better like me. Just saying, you do not pull it off.
Maybe not.
No, Henrietta, you fucking nailed it, but Ash, not so much. Okay, back to the movie.
Yeah,
I did like the story, but
yes.
From here we kind of have the trees attack. Mm-hmm. Not really sure what this is. I don't know if it's just like the forces become so powerful that it kind of senses what's going on with, fucking Annie reading the incantation, or just what. I don't know what this is, and I really can't explain it. Apparently, some of the cast from Lord of the Rings just decided to show up and beat the shit out of a cabin. I don't know.
Wow. Bilbo Baggins against the Force.
Yeah, I mean, come on. All of a sudden, we got fucking Ents. I mean, tree rape is one thing, and, like, the Force manipulating some trees, I can understand. But, like, the fucking trees walking to the cabin and beating it, that's a bit much. I don't know. That kind of gets me. I don't know if that's supposed to be, like, some of the evil becoming incarnate or what. I don't know. It works. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It's just kind of confusing to me. But, the embodiment of the evil then shows up and attacks. Ash's hand has killed Annie. And, this shit shows up and it's so fucking terrifying that Ash's hair turns white. And
that, I thought, was like, okay, that copied off of Nightmare on Elm Street right there.
I don't want to say that it copied Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, that was a really popular urban myth that you could be so scared that your hair would turn white.
I don't know about that one, but okay.
Wes Craven does not own a copyright on that shit. He wasn't like, oh my God, you can get so scared that your hair turns white.
He should. I would totally recommend that he register a trademark for that right now.
But, that happens. And kind of what gets me is, like, it has all the faces in it. Now, is this to, like, symbolize that it has all these souls? It's already,
shit,
ingested these souls?
Dude, don't you get that? Nightmare on Elm Street 3 copied off of that with the souls of the children.
Yeah, and all the little faces and...
Yep. How's that make you feel?
That's interesting. I mean, that could be. It really could. And, with this one, it is Dead by Dawn, and one of the things is they keep saying, we'll swallow your soul. Now, is this to kind of, like, illustrate that, the embodiment of the evil has already swallowed these souls? It already has them. But if that's the case, if you notice the one that kind of, like, protrudes and whatnot is Ash's. That's Ash's face. Just before he attacks and stabs it with the chainsaw screaming, that's his face that says something. So has he already lost his soul to it?
Of course he has. Of course he has.
I don't know. I mean, that's a little interesting. I seem to remember that it was on the commentary, like an explanation of it. But honestly, my prep for this really sucked. So it did. So I don't know. Like, if you're out there and you know what it is, that's fucking awesome. If you're out there and are curious and is like, oh, I never noticed that, and listen to the commentary, fucking hit us up on Facebook and point it out to me, because, yeah, I have no problem with you pointing out as to why I seem like a dumbass.
Right.
Because I do it to Mike all the time, so there's no reason that you fans can't do it to me.
Exactly. Let's share the wealth around here, shall we?
Yeah. And then, from here we get Ash sucked into the vortex, which, pulls the evil into it, and he falls from the sky along with his car, and he lands in this desert, I guess, and all these medieval knights and,
well, it's not
sorcerers.
A desert, it's medieval times.
Well, yeah, it looks like a desert that he lands in.
No, it's not.
I know that's a gravel pit, but he lands there, and all these medieval knights and like wise men, sorcerers, whatever, show up, and they're gonna kill him because he doesn't look normal, and all of a sudden this flying deadite is coming, and he gets up and easily kills it with a shot-off shotgun, and everyone kind of recognizes him as this prophesized chosen one that's come, to save them from the deadites. That, this prophesized person is going to fall from the sky and save them. And, they all start chanting, and which, by the way, the first guy that takes his helmet up and says, "Hail he who has fallen from the sky," is Sam Raimi. You usually don't get a lot of cameos with him.
I thought I recognized him very much.
Yeah. And then, all these guys start chanting him, and Ash realizes that, oh, fuck, I'm not done. I'm not even remotely done. I've got sucked back in time, and now I've got to save these primitive fucking screwheads. And he just starts, he just starts breaking down. He can't believe that he got fucked over again, and it ends the film. And honestly, Mike, this is probably one of the best endings that they could have done. I love that ending. I really do. And that flying winged deadite that's coming, I love the look of that deadite. I really, really do. And like you and I have talked before off air that I'm such a fan of this. I'm actually dedicating my one entire leg to this. It's going to be all Evil Dead. And that deadite is going to be kind of like a central part somewhere, just because I really love the design of that one.
Yes. Well, overall, John, what do you think of this film for rating-wise?
Okay. I'm usually the one that puts you on the spot, but I've really thought about this. I enjoy this one a lot, but there's just some elements that don't work. Like, it is more of a comedic approach, and I don't think it always works for me, mostly because I am such a fan of the original, and I guess just going into this and how close it is, it's kind of the same location and everything, or at least it's very closely matched. And I guess I just end up wanting more of the original. So, you know, I've always avoided doing this, but I'm actually going to take a page from you, Mike, and I'm gonna add a half in here. I'm actually going to go 7.5.
And I would probably have to go a 7.
Really? I expected that you would be like 8. This is a fucking 8.
No, I'll stick with a 7.
I mean, I really do like this one. I appreciate it. I mean, I've watched it several times. I own the Book of the Dead edition. It's just certain things don't always pay off to me. And
right. No, I agree with that, definitely.
I mean, this is a very fun, enjoyable watch. It's just, it could be better.
Yeah, it could.
And I think, you know, having listened to our retrospective, me and Mike kind of agreed on quite a bit of the little things that either don't make sense or could have been pulled off better.
Yeah.
So, overall, there was some good gore in it. The direction is pretty good, but like a lot of the ambition and just like Sam's look what I can do with a camera kind of disappeared on this, and that disappoints me a little.
Right. But then, you know, we get it back with the next film, I think, is Fate. So I guess without further ado, we can close this chapter and look forward to our next installment where we cover Army of Darkness and have a pretty nice interview with Tim Quill, the blacksmith himself.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, fuck yeah, Evil Dead 3, The Medieval Dead, coming up.